Welcome to Thinking is Contagious, and the plot thickens. I don't know if you ever heard that, oh, what a tangled web we weave. This Hunter Biden laptop thing is beginning, I think, to gain some momentum. On the surface, I heard about it, so was a New York Post article, and I had seen some reporting done by One American News Network last year. They had gone to the Ukraine and they had insinuated or discussed some of this stuff. But I wasn't sure, and I'm still not 100% sure. There's some things that I wonder. Why would you leave a laptop with such sensitive material? Why would you put it out there? But if the guy's a crackhead, irresponsible, who knows? But anyway, what's coming out, there's actual photographs of Hunter Biden. There's a receipt acknowledging that if not picked up within 90 days, the laptops become property of the shop, signed by Hunter Biden. And then I read that an attorney contacted the shop October 13th. An attorney claiming to be Hunter Biden, representing Hunter Biden, asking for the laptops back. But those, obviously those laptops are in the hands of the FBI. And even some of now the mainstream media is beginning to ask some questions, which, a week ago, nobody was, just the right's conservative stations. All of a sudden, it's gaining some momentum. I would also say that you haven't heard, at least I haven't heard, I could be wrong, saying Hunter Biden or Joe Biden say that that's not Hunter's laptop. I haven't heard that. And I haven't heard them say that they disavow the story. What they say is it's Russian propaganda. That I've heard. But I haven't heard them say it's not true. And then the response that came from Biden's team was as far as the meeting, the email that details a meeting between that Hunter Biden set up between his father and Burisma officials. The email, the response that came out of the Biden team was not, oh no, this never happened, we deny it categorically. What came out was that they checked his records and it didn't show up in his records. It didn't show up in his scheduling records in the White House. I would think it wouldn't. You wouldn't want something like that on your scheduling records. But I see some nervousness. I see Joe hiding out in the basement a little more than normal. I can't tell you that I'm 100% convinced that everything we're hearing is true, but I do think we're seeing some smoke and there are fires there. How big they are, I don't know. But I think the next couple of days, this week here of October 19th, I think there could be some big revelations come out. And I think at the very least, the Biden camp's going to have to address them and acknowledge them. And I will be very interested if in this next debate, this is not brought up. And if it isn't brought up, then people, I think that the conclusion is pretty obvious. It's a massive cover-up. So the more the left ignores this and doesn't come straight out and categorically deny that any of this is true, the longer this goes on, the worse this looks for Joe. And I think there's a lot of things that are going to come out. Let's see how realistically, how true they are, how realistic they are, how much credence you can give them, what validity there is to it, and we'll go from there. Now, I do want to make a couple of comments about the tolerant left. I don't know if you've seen some of the media coverage. Christy Alley from Cheers came out and said that she had voted for Trump in 2016, is going to vote for him again this election, and she's been bashed on social media, called names, and it's crazy. And then this Chris Pratt guy from I think it's the Avengers. I'm not really that up to date on Hollywood stuff, but he's an actor, and he came out supporting Trump, and they're going after him. Just crazy how they're going after him. The tolerant left, the tolerant liberal left. And then the hilarious part is that Jim Carrey on Saturday Night Live, the liberals are just up in arms of his depiction of Joe Biden. It's so ridiculous. I mean, they for years allowed this talentless guy, I forget his name, I don't even know his name, depict Trump as a buffoon. And they put a couple of episodes out with Joe Biden, Jim Carrey doing Joe Biden, and they're just apoplectic. They're beyond themselves. They're calling for Carrey to be replaced. Again, the tolerant left, the tolerant, open-minded left. They want Carrey out. They want him replaced. Also, I don't know if you're hearing, but a lot of the Democrats are coming out criticizing any pronunciation of Kamala Harris's name that's not to their liking. And the reason for the mispronunciation is racism. People, realize this. If you vote for Joe Biden, you're voting for racism. Understand that. Because that's their trump card. That's their go-to. And everything you hear out of that camp is based on racism. They asked him, I saw him coming out of an ice cream parlor, and they asked him what flavor he got. And he said black and white. I mean, is this not out of control? People think about it real carefully. I know that I have people here who are Biden supporters. I have people here who are sort of on the fence, undecided. Friends of mine, acquaintances of mine, people that I've known for a long time. People, don't make the mistake. Do not vote for Biden. Do not make the mistake. You're going to regret it. We're going to regret it, and we're all going to pay for it. I've said this over and over again. Trump is not what you draw up as president, but Trump is what you draw up to save this country from going to hell in a handbasket. And I think that we need to make sure that Trump continues as president for at least another 4 years. And I know a lot of people are going to say at least, yeah, at least another 4 years. I am not an advocate of overturning or going against the Constitution of the United States, which I support fully. I am not an advocate of defying the two-term limit of a president of the United States. But just like in extraordinary circumstances, FDR was elected 4 times, we face the same type of peril at this point. And I could argue a greater peril at this point. Because the FDR peril was one that eventually the country would grow out of it. They were looking for a stability at leadership to make sure that there were no hiccups. The peril that we face today is no turning back. Realize that. The peril that we face today, there's no turning back. If this country goes socialist, communist, if this country takes that route, which it already has started that route, if this country fast tracks that and goes the route of AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Omar and Bernie and all these left-wing socialists, self-proclaimed socialists, members of socialist societies, in some cases Communist Party, it'll take generations to fix this. Generations. And I think that for that very reason, Trump remaining president of the United States for 2020 and beyond has merit. Has merit. And 2024, unless this country really changes and turns around the situation that the left has implemented in an attempt to implode the system in order to replace it with their selected system of socialism, unless that is stopped, the same reasoning and the same logic and the same conditions that existed with FDR exist today. At a minimum, the same. I think today it's even more important that we make sure what's going on in this country and which way it's going. So the tolerant left, read, listen, ask yourself, why is this Biden not being covered? And if you say it's because it's unsubstantiated, okay. Let's say that we'll take you on the unsubstantiated part. The Trump impeachment, everything, Ukraine, Russia, the impeachment, everything was unsubstantiated. But that sure got a lot of traction, didn't it? People, you can't have it both ways. The liberals, to you liberals, I say this, you're hypocrites if you don't admit that the level of substantiation which was available to lead to the impeachment of the President of the United States, totally in an unconstitutional manner, because obviously there was no crimes of treason. Here, if this Biden allegation proves true, it is high treason. And like I said before, I want to see who gives Joe Biden the high-level security clearance he needs with these questions still out floating in the air. Because if whoever does is also guilty of treason and undermining this country, Joe Biden, at this point, until he comes out and says this is irrefutably, this is without a doubt not true, never happened, I stake my career on it, and I invite any and all investigations, and I turn over every file that I have. Until that happens, and until an investigation occurs, and until he is cleared, can't give him high security clearance, because the safety of us, of all American citizens, is in jeopardy from a person, a man, a family who, in my opinion, today is compromised with the Chinese government, is compromised to an extent with the Soviet Union, is compromised with international lowlifes and thugs, criminals, and needs to be looked at before we hand over the keys to the White House to someone like this. Okay, please share, subscribe, and thank you for your support. Have a good day.